You'll allow me to set up my work zone here for a moment. We all got used to work from home, but you're all looking at me. Hi everyone, I'm Katy. My pronouns are none of your concern. Don't speak of me when I answer. What, am I gonna set you up to talk shit about me later? No. If you're gonna be brave enough to tell each other how weird this set was later, risk misgendering me. Something I will tell you about myself is that I am recently 30 years of age. Yes, a tepid response for 30. Appropriate, yes. Yeah, and it's pretty cool being 30. I spent today shopping for fridges. I still don't know anything about fridges, it turns out. I've been using those things the whole time, several times a day, and now I'm looking at a website full of fridges and going like, it's a fridge? It's another fridge? Like, I can't, I'm not built for it, right? But it is unusual to be 30 because I'm like, you know, my life is going very well. I feel like a lot of things are like coming together for me. And I also a little bit feel like a plucky orphan from a musical. Where I'm like, I don't necessarily have all the tools I need for these situations, but I've got stick-to-itivity, you know? Yeah, perhaps, maybe. Yeah, and it's like, if you're 30 and making the, I'm gonna say at this point, unusual choice to be dating men, you end up in this middle ground where they're either trying to get like your hand in marriage or your Snapchat handle. Both bad. And this is just something that is not really funny, but haunts me, so now you all have to know about it. My last 3 serious boyfriends, the next woman they dated is now their wife. 3 in a row. You know what that means? I'm out here on community service fixing these men and then getting none of the spoils. You know what I'm getting is when we meet up for closure 6 months later and he tells me I'm right and therapy's great. That's what happened with 2 of them. The other one I moved away. Another cool 30-year-old experience was I recently said at work that a Black Eyed Peas song that was playing on the radio came out when I was in junior high school. And the co-op students at my work thought I was making a joke about how old I was. Like as if it was like the Beatles had come on and I was like, oh, prom. And the last 2 times I have visited a liquor store, I've gotten ID'd because I'm a 30-year-old, but I still look and dress like a creative toddler. So I still get ID'd every time I go. But now that I'm 30, the reactions are getting, I'm gonna say, theatrical. Like I went in on my 30th birthday to purchase beers. I don't know why I'm saying that like I wasn't supposed to. I'm allowed to, we're at the beer place. I'm allowed to be here as much as all of you. And I know none of you said I wasn't. Anyway, yeah, you should feel bad. Thank you, Okay, good. I've already made a man uncomfortable and we're like 2 minutes in, so it's going good. But, yeah, the woman asked me for my ID, and when I showed her my ID, and she realized it started the year I was born started with a 1, so it was fine. Oh, we didn't like that one. Oh, we got a bunch of 19-somethings in the room. Yeah, woo. But, so she realized that she had ID'd a 30-year-old, and she went, sorry, maid, and then gave me a free hat. And I was like, you could have just said nothing. Always, that's an option for you. And then another time that I went to the liquor store and got ID'd as a 30-year-old, The guy was looking at the card, found the information he needed, and went, "Oh, cool." Pray tell, sir. What's cool on there? Is it that photo of me that looks like I just got hit by a bus? Or what's cool here? But it turned out that he was also born in the year 1994. And he just thought it was neat that we were born in the same year, but I looked so much younger than him. And I was like, I don't know what's going on with this self-own at the checkout, but I can't respond to that. Because what do I say? No, you look great. Then I'm hitting on the man who works at the liquor store. Or if I say, yeah, that is weird how old you look compared to me who looks young. Even I know I'm not allowed to say that one. But it is, turning 30, I feel like it's a great time to have a meltdown. Or get into self-improvement. Anybody out here improving themselves?
Absolutely not.
No, everyone's getting worse. I love it. And you should, honestly, because for me, self-improvement so far has meant I'm gonna exercise more, which means I have 5 tabs open in my phone comparing the prices of the gym memberships. So exercise is going good. I've been saying that I'm gonna smoke less weed, which mostly means smoking the same amount of weed and feeling a little bad about it, but then smoking the weed and feeling fine again. But I've been saying that now that I'm 30, I'm gonna try to be nice. And I know what you're all thinking, but Katy, no. You're the most horrible, heinous bitch I've ever met in my life. To which I would say, thank you. Are you flirting? But, no, I just, it's been pointed out to me. I've received feedback about my behavior. And so I'm trying to, be nicer. And part of what I'm doing is announcing that publicly. And I first announced this at our Halloween show for New Funny, where, as Chris mentioned, I was fully in drag as Chapel Roan because I need attention. That's the whole reason. But, so I'm dressed as Chapel Roan, and I've decided I'm going to be nice, right? And then, so part of being nice was my friends invited me to go to karaoke that night. And I was like, I'm nice. I'm sociable. I'll go out with my friends. And I went to karaoke dressed as a famous lesbian who loves to yell at men, right? Which I feel like could be transmitting to the room that perhaps this evening is not for the gentleman. Maybe. But no. You forgot what they're like. So I'm at Aaron's in drags. I've had to full name introduce myself to several people who've known me for years. I'm having a lovely time. And then I'm really sweet little guy dressed as Mr. Rogers. Everyone just got worried I'm gonna kill this man by the end of the story. Well, hang out, find out. But no, so sweet Mr. Rogers comes up to me and he taps me on the shoulder, which strike one, look, don't touch. But he taps me on the shoulder and he goes, "Chapel Road!" And I was like, yeah. You caught me, what? But I was like, no, I'm being nice. And I was like, oh yeah, thanks, yeah. Because he was a man in a sweater. He might have not been in costume. But he goes, yeah, well, I guess you know who I'm dressed as. And I see, the problem with me is I'll always guess. And I'm learning that nice people don't guess sometimes. So I go, Dad, which I thought was a pretty good guess, pretty kind. He goes, I'm Mr. Rogers. And I'm like, oh, gotcha. And then I do the absolute minimum conversation with this man that I can. And then I walk away. And then Mr. Rogers gets up for karaoke and does a Krista Berg song called Patricia the Stripper.
Yeah.
But he's in his little Mr. Rogers cardigan. So he's a bad boy. You know? He's kind of a spicy Mr. Rogers. He's got some edge to him. But anyway, so later in the evening, I'm walking through the room, and he stops me, and he goes, "Hey, totally fine to say no. Don't want to harsh your vibe. Would you do a shot with me?" And I was like, because I'm in my nice era, right? But more than that, I'm in my I love free shit era, right? But it is, like, I get it, like, it is hard, and it feels scary to approach somebody in a bar, so I was like, usually I wouldn't, like, but fine, okay, I will come do a shot with this man. And then Krista Rogers over here, for some reason, if a man offers to buy you a shot, in what world does he mean a Jaeger bomb? Because firstly, that's a shot and some other stuff. He didn't say, "Hey, don't want to harsh your vibe. Do you want to do a shot and some other stuff?" Tricked. And then he pays for 2 Jaeger bombs with $100 bill. And I was like, oh no, this guy sucks a lot. Oh no. So then I do my first ever Jaeger bomb at the age of 30. And you know what? Not good. I won't do a second one. But, and so then, in exchange for this free drink, I am now playing the game of guess this man's job. Which again, I've already told you guys, I'm not supposed to be guessing. That's when I do my meanest shit. So, and because he had already paid for 2 Jaeger bombs with $100 bill, I was like, this guy's a lawyer, probably, based on that whole thing that happened. So then I started to engage in an act which was later described by my friends as playing with my food. Which is where I just started guessing a bunch of jobs I thought a lawyer would be embarrassed if I thought that was his job. He's like, come on, just guess, I'll give you 3 guesses. And I'm like, do you work at a hardware store? And he looks kind of confused by this guess, which I thought was a great guess. And he goes, no. And I was like, okay. Something where you're like at the computer? Like, are you, like, do you do the computers? And he was like, no. And I was like, okay. And it's really not a hardware store. And then, you know, I eventually refused to guess the word lawyer, and he volunteered the information. And he did it like he was embarrassed. He's like, well, I'm a lawyer. And I was like, you made me guess. You wanted me to know that so bad, Mr. Rogers. Yeah, but so the nice era is maybe not like going awesome. I guess it's the long and short of that story. But it is like, you know, it's an exciting time for reflection in many ways. And I don't really have a segue between the things that I'm going to talk about for the rest of my time up here and that. So remember how cool that was? Now we're here. Yesterday was my dad's birthday. Pretty exciting. And I was thinking a lot about how ridiculous my father was. Because you don't, like, this isn't how you turn out when you had the regular parents. It turns out this is like a hippie stoner journalist, you know. Really, we're an argumentative and deeply unbearable family. But my dad was like, so my dad had a disability, which meant that before Papa Trudeau let us all smoke weed without it being illegal, my dad was allowed to grow it in the house because of his disability. And he definitely had not been growing it in the house for other reasons previous to that decision. But, so there was a year that it was like a couple of weeks before Christmas, and my dad gets this card in the mail. And it's a card that you keep in your wallet that says like, that guy is cool, he's allowed to have weed. It's now on my like on my coffee table on display. But this was a few weeks before Christmas that this came in. So then my dad went around to all of our like family Christmas events being like, look what Santa brought me. I got the best Christmas card. And then like my grandfather, the liberal cabinet minister, was like, Ted, please, can we? And Dad was like, ha ha ha, no we can't. There was another time that my too many people called my dad disabled, and then he rode his bicycle across Canada about it, which is like true. They used a medically correct term for his condition, which was spastic. But when he was a kid, it was just a mean word you said to kids with disabilities, I guess. So then my dad was like, I can do anything, and I'm going to ride my bike across Canada. He gave my mother 2 weeks of notice that he was doing this, for the record. It took him 4 months, which sounds like a long time, but he had no feeling in his legs. So actually, you guys are not being fair to my dad. It was actually pretty impressive, and I think you should all be less judgmental. And something remarkable that he did is even though he had no feeling in his legs or hands, which, like, why are we operating a bicycle, Ted? But anyway, every single day he wrote me and my brother a postcard from the road, you know? And now I have this great photo album full of postcards. It's very sweet. And you can actually, like, you can see his handwriting getting better over the summer. Like, it's a really beautiful memory. But there's a postcard missing. There's a day that he didn't write us. And it's day 2. And the reason my dad did not write us on day 2 is that on day 1, my dad ate 1.5 pounds of dried apricots. Because he was riding a bike all day and he needed energy, and I guess that some of that energy had to come from apricots. And so he did one solid day where he biked like 45 kilometers and then was curled up in the van for one full day being punished by apricots. And, it's pretty classic Ted behavior, really. Now, I'm not sure if it was just Chris moving or if that was a flashlight, but I do have one more excellent Ted Warren boat story to tell you before I leave. Because he had a boat, which he called the Plan B. I was a 14-year-old with a dad with a boat named Plan B, and he didn't know why I thought it was so funny. And I'd like you all to explain it to him later. But he had this plan, because it had been like 10 or 15 years since the bike trip, and more people had told him he was disabled in that time, that he was going to sail from here all the way around the bottom of the continent and then back up to BC. Which he didn't end up doing because you might remember before, he had no feeling in his legs or hands. So we were like, hey Dad, could you please not disappear at sea? But when he was getting ready for that project, he had the boat tied up at Harborside Park when there was still a little dock there. And because he was worried about people vandalizing the boat, he was sleeping inside the boat, right? And there was a night that he woke up and he heard like rustling on the boat. And he was worried it was like seagulls or something getting into it. And so then he like opens up the little hatch above his head and pops his head up. And like they were getting into it, but it wasn't seagulls. It was people fucking on his boat. It was 2 people doing sex on his boat. And so my dad, of course, is like bewildered and half asleep and wasn't expecting to see sexing on a boat. So he's sort of like, excuse me? Leave my boat, is what he says he said. I imagine he had more like grown-up words in there. But, and the reason that I love this story is not the image of my like nearly fast asleep father, confident that he could take the 2 people who were like, he was just like, get off my boat. I'll hold my ground. Nobody look at my hands or legs. But the best part is that these people were, startled enough. I guess if I was like mid-sex and somebody appeared from the floor and told me to leave, I would. But so then, they scramble away and they're walking away. And he hears the woman, well, actually what he hears is a big clapping sound. You said that was your boat? All right, I've been Katy Warren. So Warren, let's give it up for Chris Linda!
Keep it going for Katy, everybody.